Hey guys, Krista here from Davy and Krista, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to make one of our family yearbooks. So I've been making these books for 7 years, I think, and they're one of my favorite things to do every year. I take all of the photos that we've taken on our phones and any photos that we've had taken by professional photographers or that I took with my camera, and I put them all into this beautiful album that our family just loves going through together. So it's become one of my favorite ways to remember the year before, and it keeps me from having to print out tons and tons of photos in order to have these photos printed. Whenever I share about these books, I get a ton of questions about the process of putting one together, how I streamline the photos, how I do the layouts, and where I print it. So I'm going to teach you how to do that today. In today's video, I'm sharing all of my sources and tips. And because I believe in giving credit where credit is due, I got this idea for these beautiful books from my friend, photographer, Caitlin James. So I print my books through Blurb, and I used Blurb back when I first did my first wedding album for myself when Davey and I got married all those years ago. And I really think that their products have come a long way, and I appreciate the consumer-friendly price. This book was around 200 pages long, and it costs about $200 to print. Although if you add an app like Honey to your browser, it's probably going to find a deal for Blurb books, especially if it's your first time ordering. I like to make my books as big and high quality as possible. I think that it helps protect them and keeps them lasting a bit longer. It also makes them sturdier to stand up to little sticky fingers. So this is the 12 by 12 size, and I go with the image cover wrap, and I upgrade the pages to be the premium matte pages. I also like to keep the cover design consistent between the years, and so I always do about the same size image on the front with our Jones family and the year, and then a year in our lives. And then because I like to stack them on my bookshelves, on the spine, I also add our names again and then the year in the bottom, so that when they're all stacked and lined up on the bookshelves, they look really orderly and clean together, and it's also just a really pretty bookshelf item. I've also experimented with ordering books from Artifact Uprising, but I don't really love the quality. I think that the cover, well, it has a prettier design on the front, and this is just one of their stock templates. This book was more expensive per page to print, and I don't think that it lays as flat. I think that I upgraded the pages on this, but they're not glossy. I don't think that it opens quite as well, and the photos just aren't quite as high quality. So after printing this book from Artifact Uprising in 2017, I switched over to Blurb for 2018, and I've been using them ever since. I'm going to start by creating a new folder on my computer, and I'm just going to name this 2024 Family Yearbook. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to start creating a folder for each month. And I've noticed that if you take these months and you add a number in front of them, it helps keep them in a more organized order. So 01 would be January, 02 would be February, 03 March, and so forth. So I'll make a folder for every single month of the year, and then we'll flip over to my phone. Once I've made the folders on my desktop, I'm going to move over to my phone, and I'm going to start going through my photos and airdropping them by month. So in my phone, I'm going to filter by month, and I'm just going to go through and select some of my favorite photos. So I'll click select, and I'm going to select around 20 images per batch. And then once I've chosen those, whether they're edited or not, I'm going to airdrop them over to my computer. And then I'll put them in the folder for that particular month. And I just work through my phone and then my husband's phone in batches to organize all of the photos on my desktop. Throughout the year, I try to edit my photos as I go in Lightroom on my phone with some presets that I have in order to brighten them and lighten them and just kind of keep them pretty and organized. But I don't always get to editing every single photo, especially the ones on my husband's phone. So in the photos that I didn't edit, I will take them into Adobe Lightroom and I'll run a quick edit on them just to keep them consistent and bright and kind of the same editing style throughout. Once I've edited all the photos for that month, I'll export them back into that same month folder, and then I can take them into Blurb and start building there. Editing for Blurb books used to be done in an app that you downloaded to their computer, but now it's all available online. And I actually think I like the computer versions slightly better, but I think that they're moving toward the web-based version, which is currently in beta. So let's go to Blurb and let's get into the program and then start building a book. So I'm going to select a large square book, and I want it to be a hardcover image wrap with premium matte paper. I'm going to give my project a name. You're the only one who ever sees this, so just name it for the year, or if you have lots of projects, particular project. You have to add your name because technically you're the author. And then I'm going to add my photos. So I'm going to start by adding just January. I'm going to select the edited photos, and then I'll import them into my BookWright. They take a few minutes to load, so I'm going to pause this video and let them load, and then I'll show you how we drop them in. I like to organize them by date taken, and then I'm going to skip the cover for now because I'm going to do that last once I have like an amazing photo that I want to use. So I'm going to delete some of their existing spreads in here because I don't really love these particular layouts. I'm going to go over to layouts, and my favorite layout is the one with 4 different square images because I think it makes the images big enough to see so that they have a little bit of impact, but it also helps you get a lot of images in your different spreads. So I'm going to click on the layout, and then I'm going to drag it in, and I'll do that for several pages in a batch. Once I have a layout, I'll go back to my photos, and I'm going to start dragging the photos into the little boxes. I try to keep the photos kind of consistent between the different spreads, so they kind of tell a story about different events that happened in our lives, but you don't have to be perfect with this because really you guys are the only ones who are going to see it, or unless you share it with your friends and family. I try to vary the images that I'm using throughout. So like maybe I'll do a close-up next to a further back image and try to vary the faces on each spread. But at the end of the day, you just don't want to have any gaps in your pages because that's what really makes it look funny. I also occasionally will go with bigger images if it's like an amazing image, or maybe it's one of all 4 of us. Or if I'm doing a spread that was done by a professional photographer, I might switch to a 2-photo layout just to give the photos more impact and really make them pop more. I also find it helpful to toggle on the used photos hide toggle so that the photos that you've already added go away and you only see the ones that you have yet to use in the design. I think it helps keep them a little bit more organized. I also, once I've done all of the images for a particular month, I'll go ahead and I'll load in the photos for the next month, and I'll keep working through the project just like that. I would say that this process takes me like maybe 2 hours on average, although it depends on how organized I was throughout the year, how much I edited those photos, and then also just like how the system is working and how much my kids are interrupting me on that particular day, because I tend to do these on the weekends during nap time. All right, so I worked a little YouTube magic and sped up this process just so that you didn't have to watch me for a couple hours putting everything together. But if I go through here, you can kind of see how I'm varying between 4 square layouts with some bigger images from other parts of our year. So here's a family photo from a football game, which is not currently loading right now. I've noticed that the online version is slightly sluggish, but I think it still works. So I still prefer this to using other tools and other methods just because I really appreciate the hide used photos album area. So I'm going to go through, we have lots of photos. I'll kind of check to make sure all of my images are linked correctly, that they're positioned correctly, and that nothing is cut off or kind of looks wonky. So lots of pages in here from our whole year, and this book ended up being, 162 pages. And I end my book with like another family photo, usually one from the end of the year. So here's us at the Santa train. You can see that my price estimate right now is $193 unless I can find a coupon or if I wait for a sale. And then at the beginning of the project, you'll see that I also have another single photo of all of us on the inside cover page. So when you first open up the book, it's going to be just a standard default white page. And then this is going to be the first page that you see in the book. And then the other one is just a blank page. So you could go right into your year with this one, or you could choose a favorite photo from the year to kind of tease what is coming. So this is my cover page, and they have certain layouts for the cover, but I often like to design my own. And so I'll drop in an image that was usually one of our Christmas photos or a family photo portrait from the year, one that just really represents our year. And then I'll go ahead and I'll add some text boxes as well. And on this particular design, I'm using the fonts Nanum Myingio. They're Google fonts, so I don't actually know exactly how to say them. And then I have an italic version down here that says A Year in Our Lives. And then I used Plus Jakarta Sans for the top version. And then on the spine, I have one text box, but within a single text box, you can actually select text and have two different fonts in here. So I have this text as Plus Jakarta Sans so that it matches the sans serif on the front. And then I have this one as the italic version of Nanum. I'm gonna go with Nanum. And then I also have our year down here. And I make sure that these items are lined up perfectly each year by taking a screenshot of the previous year's design, and then I upload it here, and that kind of helps me approximate the spacing to make sure that when they're all lined up on the shelf, they are kind of orderly. This might just be my designer nitpickiness, but I think it makes a big difference in terms of like keeping them orderly and making them look consistent throughout the years. And I can't wait for it to be like year 20 and to have a bunch of them together. I think it'll be really special, especially as my kids get older and maybe future grandkids one day. So once I've designed all of my pages, it's time to add it to my cart. So I'm going to click Add to Cart. You can pay a little bit extra to remove the Blurb logo on the back page. I don't think it really matters whether you do that or not. And then you'll go through a process to upload all of your pages to their online design software for ordering. And then they'll also ask you to go through and proof all of your pages, and it's going to check it for any like errors or links. These books take a couple of weeks to print and get shipped, but I think it's totally worth the wait. And if you make one of these books, let me know, because I think that they're so special and I love seeing people create these for their families. If you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you hit like and subscribe to get updates about future videos that we release.